Hello everyone, welcome back to Vampire. Yes we are. We are back in the game. And I have managed to get a little bit of a sleep, and that's good. So, what is our mission? Meet Edgar Swansea at the hospital. If you say so, boss. Ooh, yes, yummy people. And we are... What's going on in here then?
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Who's this guy?
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan.
Scary.
This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Human.
By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
On my earpiece last week. Find headphones are having a little bit of a problem with it. Anyway, back to the game. What have we got here? Warning letter. Pembroke Hospital, 25th of October. Dear Dr. Swansea, I must inform you of my deepest reservations concerning the Dr. Thoreau Strickland and Harvey Fiddick case. Mr. Fiddick has been hospitalized after a severe work injury. He may permanently lose the use of his arms. He's already dead, isn't he? If not treated adequately, he is. Dr. Strickland claims that a surgical procedure may save the man's arm completely. I say it may also sever its functions for good if complications arise. Our young colleague is an audacious and daring surgeon who might prove a great professional in a few years, but for now he lacks the skills to perform such a risky procedure. Need I remind you of the mistakes he made in the past? Since Dr. Strickland refuses to listen to me, I strongly advise you to forbid him to perform such a hazardous experiment. Well, it's of no consequence at this point, is it? But we do have a new hint. So Whitechapel's in a little bit of a pickle. Which is no surprise, I suppose. Anything else around here that I haven't noticed? Dear Dr. Swansea, I will be glad to manage the temporary morgue as soon as it's opened. As I have already told you, I was doctor during the war and I will be glad to serve my country again. I know it is not the same being a physician for the dead as it is for the living, but I believe it is important to welcome and take good care of our departed too. Rest assured I will do my best to fully perform this new duty to the best of my ability. Concerning the question of my qualifications, I'm sorry I can't give you anything more valuable than my parole. I swear to you that my regiment made me a doctor during the war and that I saved many lives. If my word is not enough, you can contact the military admin to verify my experience and skills. They will confirm that even if I never followed any medical studies, the war taught me what a doctor really needs to know. Okay. How did I not see these before? Here we go. Rare species of vampires. As a scholar and an exegete? Okay, I've learned a new word. A person who interprets texts, especially scriptures, of ancestral writings, I would never insist enough about the importance of taking legends and ancient folklores into account when searching for hints about hidden or lost secrets. A common mistake is to take what we know for an established truth and use it to discard any contradictory material. For example, We must consider the possibility of undiscovered species of vampires and the necessity to rethink what we see as the established truth about the various types of immortals, based on what we know and what we gathered through time. For how many centuries did we consider that vampire was the vernacular term for what we had learned to call Ekon? Until the day 4 explorers of the Brotherhood found proof in Siberia that Volkods were a lupine type of vampire. We consider these creatures to be linked to the mythological werewolf. Now we know it's not true. What about the rest? What about the Rakshasa from my homeland? What about the Chinese Jiangxi or the Huchen of southern Chile? And without even leaving the beautiful Great Britain, what about the stories of bat-shaped women sometimes seen flying around St. James's Church in Louth? What about the creature only identified as a disaster in some obscure testimonies, which tried to destroy London in 1666 by spreading plague across all around the city? What about the Nimrod, the mythical figure of the restless vampire hunter, sometimes described by ancestral British Ekons as a legendary huntsman who only feeds on his prey's blood and could go unnoticed among the mortals and immortals? Now these are reminiscent of real legends. Whether or not these, a couple of these mentioned here are of real report, but, there are thousands upon hundreds and hundreds of thousands of reports like this, and even a lot of them are still occurring today. So it's very, very interesting stuff. At least I find it interesting. What is it they call it again? There's a name for it, isn't there? Like supernatural creatures, cryptids, spotted out in the world and on camera, even some of them, dubious. It's kind of questionable footage a lot of the time, most of the time. But cryptids, yeah, interesting stuff. I tell you, my brothers, we never can be too sure of what we could find, if only we could forget for a few minutes what we're supposed to already know from Unveiling the Night. By Usher Talltree, Primate of St. Paul. Primate. Okay. Alrighty. Curious as to how long those have been there, and I hadn't noticed them. Alright, let's get it on.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing.
Yummy.
This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
The hospital is chaotic as it is. No one will notice a few more bodies.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Well, they are not far wrong. The hospital is almost crawling with vampires.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Put an end to Sean Hampton's savagery. I interrupted an argument in Edgar Swansea's office after I came back from my sister's funeral. A man was there, Geoffrey McCullum, leader of the Guard of Prewen. He presently suspects the Pembroke Hospital of vampire activities. He immediately recognized me for what I truly am, a vampire, but he was not here for me. Sean Hampton, the man I saved from William Bishop's appetite, has turned into a Scarl and escaped the hospital after killing another patient. As the current administrator, Dr. Swansea fears for the sanctity of the hospital. Since I was the one who let the murderer Sean Hampton enter the hospital, I will retrieve him and restore the Pembroke's reputation. I must act quickly if I want to protect any mortal who may cross Sean Hampton's path to the East End docks. I would love to see this game, and this is kind of my hope for Bloodlines 2. I would love to see this game tied more in with, like, obviously I've made the decision to fully embrace the way of the vampire, and so that's not really reflected there in that statement. I mean, I have personally no interest, and I'm role-playing that we don't really have much interest in protecting these mortals as much as I might protect my steak in my fridge, you know? Sorry, no more than I might want to protect the steak in my fridge. So I would love to see a game like this cultivated and developed to a way where even those texts kind of reflect how we're playing the game. Obviously, it's a bit limited. It's one thing I've noticed about this, as much as I am enjoying the game, and it is good. All round, it is good. It definitely... This has
Sean
been...
Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
This has been an interesting kind of insight for me. In this game specifically, more than a lot of other games that I've ever played, I've noticed it's been very easy for me to do. This may be something to do with the fact that I'm running a YouTube channel now too, that I'm sort of paying attention to this sort of thing because I'm talking, you know, presenting thoughts and ideas and things on video. But I've been able to really notice what she needs to be cured, doesn't she? Oh no, she's okay. What I perceive it would be the difference between, like, this game, if it had had the development, like a AAA development team behind it, which I don't think it has. I think it's more of an indie team. I could be wrong there, but I think it's more of an indie sort of company, development team. And what would have been done or could have been done with this game if it had been given, I don't know, another couple years of development, and if the mechanics and the systems had been kind of fleshed out, you know, a bit more, say another 25 to 30% on top of where they're at now. But don't get me wrong, as good as this is, and I am enjoying this, I've had a few thoughts like that, like how the combat could have been kind of evolved a little bit more, how the mechanics of the world could have been evolved a little bit more. The spreading of the virus, like this, you know, like in another couple years of development or something. I'm not super technical on this sort of thing, but like the virus itself could have been evolved to a point where it's a bit more dynamic. Anyway, you know, a couple of things like that have come up. I can't really remember them at the moment, but I can't even remember why I brought that up now. Why did I bring that up? I can't even remember. Yeah, it's gone.
Look at it!
Yes. Oh yeah, I was just saying I'd love to see a game like that. That was that variation. I see what's going on. Stamina. Yeah, I'm really getting quite hammered here, aren't I? Got a bit distracted by what I was talking about. Oh my god, man, I'm really getting smashed. Get him. Okay, let's focus. Didn't realise he was still alive. Can't hit him. What's going on right now? I was a little bit caught up in what I was talking about. It's really thrown me off. Okay, let's get into it. Oh my god. Can't do anything right. Right. Yeah, so I was just talking about, I would love to see what this game, like I say, could have become something like this. And this is kind of my hope for Bloodlines 2, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2. Alright, yeah, so I just got caught up in what I was saying. It really threw me off.
He's mine!
I've just remembered, I don't think we've activated our claws ability, have we? In this menu. Let's get rid of this one. Forgot about this. So RB is now claws.
Bloody leech!
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's like it's a single strike. Okay. That we've been over here very much, have we? Like around here.
This one's mine!
Oh, Jesus.
Stop it, leech! Filthy piece of shit!
Alrighty, we're getting back into the swing of it now.
It's locked.
So there are a few places, aren't there, around here? The Vampire Club. Why didn't it show me? Do you think vampires hide in the dodgy areas and the hovels of London? No, they hide in the highest clubs and fancy houses of the West End. I know for a fact that some of them rule the empire in secret. They have a club, they have public figures, they have balls and fancy parties. They aim to control the country and our destinies. We must reveal them for what they are, greedy enemies of mankind, born into this world to bring us all into the eternal darkness of hell. You know them, but you don't dare to pronounce their names. I will soon. And everybody in London will know the name of the vampire club. Clarence Crossley. Oh yeah, okay, we've encountered him, haven't we? The journalist. I have a question for you. If you found out that vampires or, you know, sinister, well, maybe not necessarily sinister, but let's call them, you know, immortal forces were in charge, running things, running the country or whatever country you live in, or, you know, they were behind kind of politics, they were the elite. Would you, do you feel that you would be inclined to want to know more in a kind of curious, supportive manner? Like, you know, you'd want to know what they're about, possibly join them? Or would you be more inclined to want to kind of out them and destroy them and eradicate them from our life? To be honest, I mean, obviously it depends a lot on the context. So this is a hideout for us, is it? Like, let's just say, for example, that it's true. Today, in the modern era, governments around the world and organizations, institutions around the world itself, let's just say, is run by an immortal elite vampire, I don't know, whatever. Let's create another one of these. Let's just say it's true. I think the difficult part of answering that question is the context of the situation, because as a mere mortal, you might find it difficult to understand. Like, you can look at the world today and you can, you know, based on your own judgments, maybe your worldview, maybe your religion, maybe your culture, maybe your just background, opinion, whatever. You can come to a certain conclusion about why things happen, why things are the way they are, why society works the way that it does. But, and this...
I have this thirst for blood.
This is something that you know, I kind of try to step into when I roleplay, when I play these games like this, is the world to an immortal. Not even necessarily a vampire, but the world, life and death, and all of the trivial elements or common elements that we experience as human beings would have a completely different context in the mind of an immortal. So I think, for myself, if I had to answer that question, I absolutely would be more inclined towards a curious investigation as to transcending my own humanity. Now, I'm not necessarily saying become a vampire, but that, you know, we're just talking about kind of general immortality at this point. If they were the ruling elite, I would at the very least be curious to inquire into what's the situation, you know? Really. Just with that, based on that logic, that you know, what it might be easy for you to say is right and wrong, good or evil, true or untrue, possible or not possible in life. To an immortal mind, 99% of what you believe is right or real could be seen in a very, very different light. So I would at least want to kind of weigh that up before jumping to any kind of emotional or religious conclusion about these evil beasts. Given vampires, for example, we have no idea. This is something this game might explore, and I know it has, you know, various games have explored it. Not games. Movies, books. Various people may have explored this conceptually in the past. That perhaps the vampires are a more advanced form of life. Maybe they're older than humanity. And maybe they have a wisdom that far outstretches the human capability. So with our limited, if we're an ant in the face of a giant, how much can we really understand? Dear Mother, my dear Mother, when you find this letter, I'll be gone. I want you to know that I don't leave because of you. I leave this world because of the crushing weight that existence puts upon me. These times are too much for me. Sometimes I feel like Baudelaire's verses have been written as an echo from my own heart. When the low, heavy sky weighs like a lid upon the spring aching for the light, or the spirit aching for the light, and all the wide horizon's line is hid by a black day sadder than any night. It's as beautiful as it is painful, Mother. I can't suffer it any more. I don't want you to try to convince me, and it would only delay the inevitable, for I would do it again if by any chance you managed to save me once. Farewell, your son, Mortimer.
In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust.
Don't worry about it. Just eat his mother and set him free from all of the drama. So anyway, just a couple sort of interesting kind of, I guess, philosophical.
It's locked.
He'll probably give us his key now, won't he? If we side with him, maybe, or maybe we only get his key if we eat him. Fertile is the belly of the beast. The origin of vampires. Very good. Vampires create their foul progeny with blood. We all know that. Some of us witness the process, even. But what is really going on there? Is it the only way for a vampire to breed? Let's review what we know so far. When willing to create a progeny, a vampire will not bite but give its blood to drink. Most of the victims die when bitten, but some of them survive and turn into leeches themselves. This only happens when they have assimilated the vampire blood one way or another. It is not the predator's bite, but its blood that infects the victim, who will turn if he or she survives the suffering of the metamorphosis. It also seems that a vampire can breed by having intercourse. Interesting, the vampire mates to produce a child. I would imagine that a pure creation like a vampire child would be much more powerful. What I'm curious about is, given the fact that when somebody is infected and transformed, that they become immortal and they don't age, how does it work with a child? Maybe the child only ages like a newborn, a vampire-born child. Maybe they only age to a certain point. Sexual intercourse between vampire and human rarely produce any birth, but some of them tried anyway. A vampire gestation is only a few weeks short, and the pain is almost unbearable for the mother. If she is mortal, she will not survive the birth. The vampire comes out of her womb by tearing apart her entrails. If the mother is a blood drinker, it will probably survive and regenerate. The newborn vampire will quickly grow and turn into an adult vampire in only a few months. From The Adversary by Kendall Stone, founder of the Guard of Pruwen. So this game is clearly very, very fertile ground. What's been created here is fertile ground. Like, can you imagine something like this, given the time, like a Grand Theft Auto, GTA 5, or like an Assassin's Creed level of detail, or a Bethesda title, I guess the closest that we have to it is Vampire the Masquerade. I'm gonna have to check it out, aren't I? It's old school. I did try to play it once, and back then I was in this sort of mindset that I didn't I didn't really vibe with the old school graphics and the old school style of gameplay, but I'm a bit more mature these days, just a little bit. So maybe I could handle it, and maybe I could handle it for the channel. You know, like I'd be willing to make a few personal sacrifices, let's say, or not sacrifices, but allowances for the sake of putting a decent game on the channel, because it's pretty legendary. Hiya. Oh shit. Ooh, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? Maybe that claw is a little bit more powerful than I first realised. Try and keep an eye on it next time. I'll do it on someone with full health. And we'll try and see how much health it takes off them. So I know I'm kind of hovering around here, but I'm just trying to do a little bit of exploration of the environment a little bit.
This is no place for a gentleman.
Is that so? I thought I'm not a gentleman. Oh, it's pretty powerful. You know, I want to be honest about what I'm thinking right now. It's quite possible, because I'm noticing a lot more fluidity now in the movement. Okay, we've got a few more powers, but it's quite possible that a lot of my earlier judgment, I guess, I want to use the word condemnation, but I didn't exactly condemn it. The combat, but I guess, you know, I made a judgment call quite early on. It's quite possible that I may have overlooked the stamina mechanic a little bit. Oh, that's a guard, isn't it? Leave it with me, and I'll update you. I'm gonna pay attention to the stamina bar a bit more than I have been doing, and I want to see if it's, because what I've noticed, the reason I say that is because I think it was like 2 fights ago, not that one, not the one we just had, but the one before, that I was kind of pressing a button and wanting a response, and at the same time I looked up and saw my stamina was depleted. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh, that's nice. Using it when they're a little bit lower on health to just witness them all drop. Oh, that feels good. You know, so like I say, I want to be honest with you, and I'll always admit if I've seen an error of my own. A large and beautiful knife with a name engraved on the
This
blade.
is an impressive knife.
Is it? Yeah, I'll always admit, you know, if I make an error, a judgment call that's wrong. A wrong judgment. Okay, so it's not a knife we can use. Oh. So where's that then? Is that some sort of mission item, is it? Where is it? I can't see it in here anywhere. I'm definitely not seeing it, am I? It's not here either. Quite happy with this weapon, to be honest. These weapons, even though you get them right away at the start of the game, I'm pretty happy about sticking with them. So, whoa. Okay, I can't see that knife anywhere.
There's a name engraved on the metal.
Oh, I see.
Clay. What kind of man puts his name on a knife?
Probably one of the wet boot gang, right? Your king and country need you. Yeah, let's have a little look here, alright? So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to go real slow. I'm going to, less button bashing, and I'm going to try and really keep an eye on this stamina meter.
Ain't safe here for a gentleman. See it? See those? This one's a top.
Damn, wrong button. Wow. I'm still getting a little bit. Yeah, I think I've... Sit down. Okay, here's what it is, right? Here's where I'm at so far on it. Here's what I think is going on. You've got the stamina meter in the top left. If the stamina's too low, a lot of your attacks won't trigger. You've got the blood meter, which is the same thing you've got to keep an eye on. If the blood meter is too low, you can't use a lot of your abilities. At the same time, all of your abilities are on a cooldown. So if you're trying to use an ability before the cooldown reaches the bottom, the cooldown resets, obviously it's not going to trigger. Now, I guess you could argue that maybe that's one too many limitations on the fluidity of the combat. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just the sort of combat that takes a lot of getting used to. Like trying to keep an eye on kind of 3 meters. Right, see, right then, the whole time I'm talking, I know I'm interrupting the game at the moment, but it's just where I'm at. I'm pressing the left trigger like 5 times then, in that moment then. After the first time, I continued to press it because I'm looking at my blood meter and I've still got blood. So I'm expecting to be able to do it. Now, okay, that's an error on my part. I'm on a cooldown for that ability, so I can't do it. So Obviously, I've been doing that repeatedly, haven't I, since the beginning of the game? So that again, you could either have the judgment that that's too much of a restriction. Like, why have the cooldown? Why not just maybe have the cooldown for the ultimate? The blood meter is enough. If I'm using blood every time I use one of those abilities, then, you know, I should just have to keep track of that. But it's added a further layer of restriction. Okay, that's fine. But it is a little bit of a lot to kind of keep track of. My cooldowns versus how much blood I've got and how much stamina I've got, when I kind of just want to be fluid and dynamic, flowing into each of these attacks. So I guess my options then are mix up my attacks a lot more. Interesting. What was that? Alright, so I guess that's where I'm at from here. Alternating my what do you call it here? These buttons here. You know what I think I'd like to do? As weird as this might sound. I know I'm having a bit of a weird one today, aren't I? Like I'm interrupting a lot of the gameplay right now, but I think I'm kind of learning something about the game here that I hadn't put together before. I want to get rid of that healing ability because I keep tapping LB to try and do an attack when it's healing me. And I've got these serums. Regenerates blood points, regenerates health points, so I might just focus on those. And then I've got more power. Coagulation. Blocker targets blood in their veins. Claws, RB, Shadow Mist, LB, Spring. I think I might change this one for Spring. RB as Claw, that feels good. This one as Spring. Oh shit, sorry. What was the other one? Shadow Mist. This one as Shadow. This one as Coagulate. I want those the other way around. So it's taken me all this time. I mean, we're about 10 hours in now. It's taken me all this time to get that. That's where I've been going wrong with the combat. And this is the last time I'll bring it up before we carry on. You could either take the standpoint that you know, the cooldown on some of these abilities is one too many restrictions on the player. And if they didn't have that, there'd be a lot more of a fluidity to it. So that's one way to look at it. But the other way is, now, as I'm using these LB, RB, LT, and RT ultimate abilities, I've got to mix them up. I can't use one repeatedly over and over, which is how I'm trying to do it. That's more natural. But I've got to mix them up, you know. Anyway, that's enough of that. I've said enough on that now. But again, yeah, I just want to kind of admit I hadn't put this together before. Now I've changed my keybinds around, haven't I? Did I finish what I was just saying? I want to admit if I've made an error, or that's not necessarily an error, but you know, the judgment that I had on what I was doing. I've put more of the pieces together since I made that judgment call, and so I will evolve my my commentary, if you want to call it that. Anyway, let's carry on. You know what I think it is? It's because in most games where you've got this type of combat, you only have a stamina meter to deal with. You don't have a stamina meter and a blood meter. And on top of that, a cooldown further on top of your abilities, so being more used to a kind of stamina system, I was only really paying attention to the blood and the stamina, and forgetting about the fact these abilities have a cooldown. Wow. Ah, okay, alright, never mind. I have no blood. I could use my serum, couldn't I? Where's he gone? Just in time. That was a pretty close fight. Prevent disease. Yeah, we've read that one, haven't we? I could do with a little bit more health right now. I don't really want to use my serum. Ordered by Dr. Thoreau Strickland. List of substances and ingredients. Lacrima, medical opium, sodium hypochlorite, potassium permanganate. Doesn't tell me what it's for, though. Oh, these are just ingredients.
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication.
Or was it down here, wasn't it? This one. Missing ingredients.
Never a good move.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that you've got 3 restrictions to your ability to perform a move, I think, in a game, you know, in a game with combat. Usually, like I say, you've got the stamina meter and that's about it. Maybe you've got stamina and magic chi energy. So that's our blood. But in this you've also got the fact that your abilities are on a cooldown, so you've got that element of muscle memory to develop, as well as keeping track of all of the time and levels. That's quite a lot. Which is probably why, in fact, I can flat out say it is. That's why I've had such a hard time with the combat so far, but now that I've figured that out... okay, so... oh, that's the other mission, back at the hospital. Now that I've figured that out, I think I'm going to have a lot better time with the combat. Which is a good thing. It's also a bit of a lesson, isn't it, for me to maybe not take such things at face value as quickly. Give them a little bit more time. We're about 10 hours in now, I think. I've done a few episodes over an hour. This is episode 9 or 8. Cover letter. Hello, Frank. How are you, my old friend? It was good to see you last week. Next time, let me get the rounds in. I hope everything is okay on your side of town. Here in your old neighbourhood, the situation is getting worse. Clay is getting more violent every day, and is only thinking about expansion, even when it seems there are some new players around, trying to dispute our territory. The Wet Boot Boys are in a bad spot, I'm afraid. So I thought about what you said last time we met. That you never regretted leaving the gang. That the only thing you regret is never being able to put foot in the East End again to avoid a good beating, or worse. Well, rest assured that you'd have my protection if you decide to pass by, and maybe we could talk again about new opportunities and a job offer. You know I have always been good with numbers, so maybe, if you need an accountant in your company, let's talk about that, shall we? Say hello to your wife for me. WBB for life, old chap. Booth Digby. We've heard that name before, haven't we? We haven't met him yet. So is he in the area we haven't? No, he's not. He's in the docks. Yeah, that's where we heard his name, wasn't it? Quite early on in the game. So are we in the dock area now, are we? We sure are. We haven't been around here much, have we? Apart from right at the beginning. So we haven't been Western Docks, North Docks. I don't think we've been to the West End yet either. I guess this whole area is the West End, is it? And we haven't really been up here either. Wherever that is. Or down here. Alrighty, so we're in a new zone then. Right now, my character is hungry. If I stay in the kind of gamer role, I'm thinking logically, I want to kind of maximize their XP and get all the quests and get all the info. But that doesn't suit my roleplay.
For now, everything seems under control, more or less.
Don't forget to keep an eye out for this guard of something, sweetie. My guess is they're recruiting for some vengeance.
In the meantime, the boys are waiting for for your orders, my sweet queen.
I hope the rumors about Clay are true. Otherwise...
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Do you need medical help, sir?
I feel fine, Dr. Reed.
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal life, aren't you?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier, I can respect that.
So, tell me about your gang, then.
What? Have you got a death wish? You really want me to answer that?
Well, yes. You seem so proud of your status. Why not tell me who you're working for?
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The Wet Boot Boys work for me. All of them. Situation round here is better than other districts because of us. Because of me.
Got a fair amount of XP already. Dyson Delaney is suffering from fatigue. Stable around here.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here like everywhere else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be more efficient.
More efficient? Really? You should probably tell Edwina that guns are useless against diseases and infections.
Incredible. You know what? You're lucky she can't hear you right now. She's more smart than patient. My sweet queen of the docks.
Booth may be in love with Edwina Cox, but she is the true leader of the gang. Edwina may be in love with Booth, but she is the true leader.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Okay, I'm going to continue on with the main quest. For now, since we're at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode, and oh wait, who did he say I need to speak? Tom someone?
Mark my words. These murders are the work of a vampire.
A vampire? Whatever do you mean?
I'm a tracker of these creatures. A vampire hunter.
You'd best be off to your hunting then. For if the sewer dog is back and hunting all these poor folk, he needs a catching.
A sewer dog? What's it look like?
It's an old story. A monster with daggers for teeth and icy claws. He comes of a sudden, nighttime, claiming innocence, then vanishes.
Teeth, claws, murders by night? Your sewer dog is my business. He's the kind of prey I hunt, milady.
Trying to talk to this guy.
Good evening, sir.
Whatever.
Don't you recognize me? We met a few nights ago.
Don't take it personally. I spent a lot of energy forgetting what I did the night before.
Yes, you had definitely drunk too much then as well. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I'm Dyson Delaney. I'll try to remember you. This time.
Tom's the bar owner, isn't he?
Surely you must have had dreams and expectations when you were young, like everybody else.
Sure. I wanted things to change. To really change, and to change for good. The bigger the dream, the harder the fall.
Do you really think the world is that bad?
No, I believe we all can choose to make it better. But most of us are too weak, too corrupt and too guilty. I failed for sure, but others will come.
Sounds like you were an idealist, which is honorable.
No, sir. I was an anarchist and I believed that exclusive property is a robbery in nature. I wanted a new world to rise from the ashes, Dr. Reed.
Inebriation aside, do you need medical help?
Yes.
Take this, then. And perhaps you could try to slow down the alcohol intake, too.
Hey, Doc, you don't really want me to stop the only remedy I can afford.
I want to know more about your past as an anarchist, Dyson.
I'm still an anarchist, Doctor, make no mistake. I just reject violence as a tool to change the world, unlike my comrades.
Do you believe in a bloodless revolution, then?
I do not believe in much anymore, Doctor. But I'll admit I like your idea of peaceful change. I like it a lot.
Do you still see your comrades, then? Even if you don't agree with their methods anymore, I mean.
No. I hope they'll come to share my point of view one day. I'll raise my glass to that splendid idea.
Surely...
Sure.
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing? I love this neighborhood. So friendly. So joyful.
Why are you so cynical?
Cynicism is the polite way to express despair, Doctor.
No reason at all to rejoice, then? Life is hopeless and then we die, is that it?
Let me tell you a story.
All right. Go on.
A few years ago, when I believed a resolute man could change things around here for good, a tragedy occurred nearby.
What kind of tragedy?
It was a bomb. Bomb that exploded and killed many people. Metal and blood everywhere. Shouts, fire. Broken window of the shoe shop. The torn street light.
You lost people you loved that day, didn't you?
I've lost everything. But you know what the worst part is? I don't even remember where it happened. I've drunk so much to forget it. And now I can't remember where it was. I can't pay my homage to the dead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Delaney.
It's okay. If you ever find the place, just leave a flower for me there. Even if you tell me where it is, I'm not sure I'd memorize it.
Tribute to the victims.
What do you do for a living?
New
Mr.
investigation.
I drink. I drink in the morning and at noon. I drink at night. And then I drink some more.
Don't you work at all?
I'd love to, but I don't have the time. Didn't I tell you? Drink in the morning and at noon. I drink at night.
Why do you drink so much?
Maybe it's because I prefer dying slowly. Death can be so abrupt. Personally, I like to see mine coming at my own pace.
You sound very sad, sir.
That's because I am, Doc.
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing? I love this neighborhood. So friendly. So joyful.
Oh wait, we just read that one. It's still white though. I don't get why it does that sometimes. Like this one's greyed out.
No reason at all to rejoice, then?
Let me tell...
We literally listened to that.
Another time, perhaps.
It's still white, anyway.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton.
I really don't know. I heard he'd been abducted.
Who could tell me, then?
About the sads.
Tom.
Goodbye,
Okay, so we need to talk
Mr.
to...
Delaney.
It is Tom, isn't it? Over here? Tom Watts.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight? Back to the docks, are we?
You remember me, then?
Of course I do. You're that man who seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way.
I'm still Tom Watts. Welcome back, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr.
Oh,
Watts.
shit. Press the wrong one.
Welcome back, Doctor.
How is it you can keep this place open? This part of town doesn't seem particularly safe.
Well, since everybody needs a drink, my pub is considered neutral ground by most groups.
Since I'm here, is there anything I can do?
Well, perhaps, Doctor. Peace partly depends on my stock of gin. With the epidemic, my supplies are running low.
How could a physician help you in this matter?
I have a small warehouse just past the quarantine line. Perhaps, with you being a doctor, you could go there and come back?
Doctors aren't immune to disease, you know. Very well. Show me where it is. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, thank you, sir. Here's the key to get in. You're about to save many dry throats.
Warehouse key, okay.
I see. So you get pressure from all sides about how this place should be run, do you?
Or something like that. Nothing that a few wise words and a bottle of gin can't solve.
You're something of a figurehead around here.
I'm only pouring alcohol for everyone to forget their troubles. Sean Hampton is the one giving them long-term hope.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's not that bad. Thanks to people like the sad saint of the East End.
Who?
Sean Hampton, our own private holy figure. Few are foolish enough to make peace with the gangs. Sean is one of them.
Tom, I need to find Sean Hampton as quickly as possible. I've been told you could help me.
I heard the sad saint was recovering at Pembroke Hospital. Did he leave or something?
I believe he returned to his flock. Can you confirm that?
Oh, I bet you're right. Sean can't help but worry about the poor and sick. Oh, I guess it has something to do with what happened to him as a baby.
Please, tell me.
Well, I don't like to gossip, but I heard that the sad saint was abandoned as a baby in front of a Catholic orphanage in Dublin. That would explain his faith and need to help everyone.
Oh, he's level 6. So when we go there now, and we see him, I wonder if, like, you could play the rest of the game to get up to level 6 before approaching him now. It seems very, very dynamic, and my instincts tell me that that's the case, that you could do that. You could try to level up and take somebody out quite early on and drastically change / limit the progression of the game through the story.
The important thing is I find him, quickly.
Why not try his night asylum? He takes care of those who need a meal or a roof there.
Where is it?
It's in an old warehouse, northwest of here. Just follow the bank to the west and go north when you reach the end of the pier.
Do you need...
I'm all right.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
Not long ago, this sort of mess would have given me a laugh.
We'll come back to the Vampire Hunter. Maybe it's not such a good time to be initiating contact with him. We got her too. Okay, I've gone the wrong way. Oh wait. Maybe I can jump across there. So there's obviously a mechanic in right now. If you look at the bottom right, I'm trying to use my sprint ability, my spring ability, but I can't. Obviously, with the way the game's working. You know, if you're using these abilities out in public, it's a problem. And that's, of course, that's one thing that kind of jumps back to what I said earlier about imagine if the game had given, you know, it had another couple years in development or a bigger team whereby you could use your abilities, but there were consequences if you got seen. You had to kill the people who saw you, kind of like a crime reporting function in Skyrim or Fallout, although Fallout, everyone just murders you, don't they, in Fallout? The moment you pick up a piece of bread off the floor, or a tin can, not piece of bread, a tin can. But it's just, again, it's not a complaint on the game, it's just more of an intrigue, like, wow, you know, what would that be like? That would be really, really cool if the game had been given that much freedom and funding, I guess, as well, and attention and time to be cultivated to that degree. Again, I think that's probably everyone's wish for Bloodlines 2 when it comes out. Hopefully not too far away, maybe early next year. Mid, I guess. These things tend to get delayed a lot, don't they? Yeah, let's just have a little look around here first. Get a bit of a feel for the lay of the land. So now I can use the ability because there's no one around. Oh shit, I just used some blood, didn't I?
I can't believe I'm doing this.
You'll thank me later.
This is despicable.
Why can't I get this one? There we go.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Spring Claws. Coagulation Shadow. We got some sort of boss now, don't we?
Seems like the guard of Prewen is on Sean Hampton's
Snap it, Leech!
I'm still having a little bit of difficulty with that. Can't see. Can't move my camera. Yeah, I've got no blood. It's like a, you ever played Bop It? You ever played Bop It? One of those fucking things you get, twist it, pull it, pop it. It says you hold it and it tells you what to do and you're trying to press the right button at the right time or twist the thing or pull the thing or fucking... It feels like that. I guess I could probably get it with a lot more attention and work. I've used all my serum now, my blood serum. I'm gonna have to go and eat some rats. Sometimes I can get it, and it feels kind of semi-alright when I'm like mixing up my attacks. Just casually walking past a werewolf eating a corpse in front of the guard of Prewen. Sometimes it feels fluid, you know, like when I'm mixing up my attacks I can get it. How do I get back up there? But other times it's like pretty much everything I press, it doesn't respond. But again, then I look up there and see I've got no blood, so a lot of my attacks aren't going to work. In fact, none of my attacks would work right now. It's hard though to kind of see that in the middle of combat, you know, like I think it's just maybe one of those things you've got to actually play it a lot and practice with it a lot to get the gist of that. Like I can dash, so I just can't use any of my trigger or button RB, LB, right trigger, left trigger abilities, but I can dash, attack. Oh shit, I don't want that out anyway. Actually, let's do that.
Want some of this?
Now we're talking.
Crush the leech! Oh, that's so... Die, vermin! I'll send you to hell. Burn it, boys! Die, vermin!
Got no blood. No stamina. Shit.
Want some of this?
Wow. I need blood right now, man. Curious right now, can I change my abilities mid-combat? Looks like I can. Then I'm gonna need heal more than Shadow Mist. Okay, so it activates a cooldown if you do that anyway. That's pretty cool though. I like that ability. The ability to change mid-combat. No stamina. Fucking hell, man. You know what it feels like right now? It feels like I'm somewhere in the middle of a real-time strategy game. No, yeah, somewhere in the middle of a real-time strategy game and turn-based combat. Combined with, you know, action combat. It's like a fusion of all three because it seems to be kind of, I guess, more real-time strategy than turn-based. Although, you know, turn-based combat gives you such a huge pause. Obviously, time to assess what you're doing. I think real-time strategy is basically the same, but you don't get a pause, do you? So it probably is more real-time strategy. With obviously the action combat element, because there's so much to keep track of in terms of what I'm allowed to do. Part of me likes that. It's a little bit challenging, but there's definitely a big part of me that's like, man, I just want to fucking fluidly flow and freely move around through all this combat, slashing the shit out of everyone with no restriction. I guess maybe that's what we become as we level up our abilities. It's probably something to do with a bit of a balancing mechanic too, isn't it? Anyway, I'm being very hyper-technical right now, but I'm also just trying to give myself a bit of a break from the intensity of this fucking fight. That guy is pissing me off with his flamethrower. Just fucking eat them, man. Get him. Yes. I tell you what it's doing to me, this whole, everything I've been talking about. The end result is I myself am being infected with the vampire's rage. I am honestly getting to that point in situations like that where I want to eat these people myself.
The result of rabid rage. If this is Sean's doing, he's become a murderous beast.
Oh, right. So we still haven't even found Sean yet. So it's, like I said, as disjointed as it felt early on, I am definitely now getting more of the hang of what I've got to keep track of. And I'm more on the side of liking it at this point than I am. Like I said, part of me is wanting the fluidity. The part of me that's prepared now and preparing now to embrace the challenge of putting all of these pieces together and keeping track of all of these things. I know that if I do that, and I will, it will feel very, very rewarding. The way the combat functions, it'll feel like have you ever played what's that new game that just came out? It's a kung fu martial arts game. Sifu. It'll feel similar to that, as in you will feel like you've actually mastered something quite technical as the player, and I like the prospect of that. Am I shouting? I don't know. I feel like I'm shouting. I've got my headphones on though, so I don't know. I've started to put the microphone a little bit further away from my face, so I think I'm compensating for that. Possibly overcompensating. I apologize if I'm shouting. Anyway, I've got to call it there, guys. Because I mean, I could run to this, but I also don't know. I figure we've got another boss fight. Although actually, oh, Sean's the pillar, isn't he? He's the pillar of this community. So if we're rushing to him, it's not likely to be a fight then. Although we think he's become a Skal. So maybe it will be. I don't know. Maybe it's another one of those very difficult choices that wasn't so difficult last time I had to make the choice. But we are still missing a hint from him. So it'd be nice to get that up before we decide to possibly eat him as well. Also, though, he is level 6, so we won't even be able to, I don't think. Unless the decision within the choices, you know how it comes up in the story, in the cutscene, maybe that's kind of overrules this, which is if you want to eat him outside of that kind of self-imposed version. Anyway, I know I've been a little bit technical today in my presentation for this game, but I don't know, it's just the way it went. I'm not always like this, am I? But I've figured out a few more things. A few pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place, and my brain is really enjoying, I enjoy that technical challenge with certain things in life, applying my brain to problems over extended periods of time and analyzing and figuring them out. So I'm going to call it there, because 1, I don't want to rush this environment. 2, I don't know exactly what's going to happen when we get there. It could still be a bit, another half an hour of gameplay before we make or complete this portion of the quest. So good. It's all good. Today's been a good episode. I've enjoyed that, the revelation, the enlightening revelation as to what I was missing before. And to be honest, I'm quite thankful that I've got to this point, because up to now, that, like I said, the disjointed feeling of the combat has been call it a if you want to call it a kind of smudge on the overall experience. And that smudge, I do believe, is being removed off of the canvas, you know? That's what I'm trying to say. Metaphor, analogy, whatever. So that's really good, actually, for the prospect of enjoyment as we move forward with this whole game in general. We might actually hover around the docks for a little bit in the next episode and get to know a few of these characters, because there's a lot here, obviously, to unpack. And, you know, we've spent a fair bit of time in both the other environments, the Pembroke Hospital and Whitechapel less. But, we've still got a lot to do here. I feel like maybe we're just approaching the halfway point in the game in terms of, like, maybe full completion. You could probably power through the main quest a bit quicker, but I don't want to necessarily do that. I'd like to try to line it up with, you know, Sunday towards the end of the week. All right, anyway, I've been rambling, as always. I have been chilling and playing and rambling, and very much enjoying this game, even more so this episode, more than any other episode, because I feel like now I've laid the foundation for extremely cool combat. If I can master those technicalities, those 3 interlinking systems, I really do feel like we could become a beast in this game, you know, a creature, a proper representation of what I feel like a vampire should be, and how they should move fluidly and not be so restricted. I understand there was a comment a few days ago by a very well honoured viewer of the channel, you know, somebody who comments a lot, talks a lot. I won't say their name in case they don't want me to, but they said, like, be aware, or remember that you're a fledgling vampire. And I sort of took it in more of the roleplay, you know, that was a few episodes ago. I took it in more of the roleplay sense. Like, okay, yeah, I can roleplay that we're a new vampire, and that's why we feel a little bit disjointed. But I have been a fledgling vampire too to this game, and it's taken me 10 hours approximately of gameplay to start to understand my abilities in this game, which is really cool. Anyway, that's enough of a ramble. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me for this episode of Vampire. Maybe I'll do another one later, but I'm not sure. There'll definitely be another 2 episodes tomorrow. I've been kind of going with the 2-episode format, but I'll see how I feel. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.